Hi, this is Bharat Bari from Team E, which includes myself, Mohammed, Anupam, and Talha. This is our project presentation on understanding consumer behavior in recession. So here is the agenda of the presentation. We'll start with the introduction, moving on to the objectives. Then we'll provide a brief overview and moving on to the sampling strategies. We'll then talk about some implications and recommendations. Then we'll move on to the interview questionnaires and then we'll present our results and findings, and finally we'll conclude our presentation. So here is the why of the project and how this can help businesses. The project or the research will help some or various stakeholders, including businesses, policymakers, and researchers. This will also help businesses adapt to these kind of changes, identify some opportunities as as consumer needs and preferences evolve. It will also help us identify some risks and uncertainties of these times. This will also provide new insights for academic purposes. And finally, we can expect some social impact, study on social impact.
So now I am going to talk about the objectives. The objectives of the research project are fourfold. Firstly, we aim to analyze consumer behavior during the recession by understanding how consumers' purchasing patterns change during the economic downturn. So we can gain insight into their decision-making process and adapt marketing strategy accordingly. And the second one is we seek to explore interview strategic for data collection by employing effective interviewing technique. We can ensure accurate and comprehensive data collection from consumer. Thirdly, we aim to identify the factors that consumers value while purchasing a product. The understanding will enable business to align their offering with consumer preference and enhance customer satisfaction. Lastly, we aim to examine the impact of price increase on consumers by studying consumer reacting to price changes. We can gauge the price elasticity of demand and make informed pricing decision.
Sir. Myself, Mohammad Mujahidul Rahman Bhuiya, and I'm glad to be part of this presentation. And thank you very much to our all of my classmates. And in that part of our presentation here, we can see some key important points of our research project, like what is recession and the impact on economy during recession, and during recession, what are the impact of the consumer behavior, and what is the importance of the study and uh, and the summarize the relevant researches which have already done and the key highlighted points. And out of those topics, the significant part is the key important thing is that the during recession, what is the consumer behavior impact? The such as the cost of living increase, job loss or reduction in hours, difficulty finding employment, fewer and delayed purchases, and negative cash flows. Actually, those are the impact during recession.
Sampling strategy. There was many things for the strategy. We target population sampling strategy, sample size determination, justification, balance, representation. Target population for this research consisted of individuals who had experienced economic recessions and had made significant changes in their consumer behavior during those periods. The focus on capturing insights from people who had first-hand experience with economic downturns and subsequent alternation in the consumption pattern. Sampling strategy. To ensure a diverse and representative sample, a combination of purposive sampling and snowball sampling techniques was employed. Purposive sampling involves selecting participants based on specific characteristics relevant to the research topic, such as their experience with the recession and notable changes in their consumer behavior. This approach allowed for the inclusion of individuals who could provide valuable insights related to the research objectives. Sample size determined. The sample size for this research was determined based on several factors, including the research objectives, available resources, and desired level of data saturation. Data saturation refers to the point at which new information or insights are no longer emerging from the data. It indicates that a sufficient number of participants have been included to capture the major themes and patterns related to consumer behavior. Justification: the selection of the sample size was guided by a careful consideration of research objectives and scope, the heterogeneity of the target population, and the desired precision of the findings were also taken into account. Additionally, power requirements for the planned analysis were considered to ensure that the sample size would be sufficient to detect meaningful relationship and patterns. Balance: striking a balance between the adequate sample size and the feasibility within the available resources and the time constraints were a crucial consideration. The sample size needed to be large enough to provide meaningful insights and support reliable conclusion while remaining manageable in terms of data collection. Transcription analysis. The goal was to optimize the sample size to achieve the desired research outcomes while being practical with the constraints of the study. Representation: careful attention was given to the selection process to ensure that the final sample represented important characters such as age, gender, socio-economic background, and geographical location. This approach aimed to enhance the generalizability of the findings and ensure a comprehensive understanding of consumer behavior changes across diverse segments of population. Thank you.
From that slide, here we are gonna come to know like the implication and the recommendation of our research project after our researching. Okay, our main recommendations are like adapting of pricing strategies, and there are 4 strategies are there, like define the value you offer to your customers, create a range of low to high value offerings, control company cost and reduce inefficiencies, invest in innovation to offer something unique. And other recommendations are like emphasizing value and affordability, strengthening brand reputation and trust, aligning marketing messages with customer needs during a recession.
The next one is the process of developing interviewing question. The process of developing interviewing question for the research project involved several key steps. Like first, we conducted a thorough literary review to identify relevant themes and concepts related to the consumer behavior during the recession. This review helped us understand the existing knowledge in the field and shape of our interview question development process. Secondly, we sought expert into the consulting industry, professional who have extensive experience in consumer research. Their valuable insight and expertise ensured the quality of relevance in our interview question.
So talking about the results of the research, we conclude that 72% of the respondents rated price affordability very important, whereas 88% considered the value the price at that the product is offering at that price. 68% rated high quality as very important, whereas 75% emphasized on the importance of the product being reliable and performing as expected. Talking about some brand reputation, 52% regarded reputation of the brand as an important factor while making a decision, whereas 62% consider meeting their needs as a requirement very important. Talking about some social responsibility, 39% valued brand companies that were environmentally conscious, whereas 45% expressed preference for the brands demonstrating some ethical practices during the recession. Moving on to the impacts of the price increase on the consumer propensity to buy. 63% of the respondents stated that they had become more price conscious, whereas 48% indicated a reduction in overall spending. 57% mentioned becoming more conscious and extensively researching product services before making a purchase, whereas 41% reported switching to a cheaper alternative or a lower priced brand. So we found that the factors that become more important during recession are price affordability, quality and reliability, and utility and functionality. So that was in 72%, 68%, 62% respectively. Uh, there was another important insight to the research, and that was that 54% indicated being very likely or somewhat likely to switch to a different brand due to changes in the aforementioned factors during the recession. So finally, concluding our presentation, the main key points to focus on are that the consumers will be more price conscious, they will prioritize affordability. Still, the quality, reliability, and the brand reputation is important. Consumers will be inclined to buy products from socially responsible brands, they who are doing ethical business practices. So businesses should take these factors into account to adapt their strategies, prioritized consumer needs, and effectively meet consumer expectations during the recession. So I finally thank you for listening to us and feel free to ask any questions that you may have. Thank you. We are open